So let's have a quick look then. Suggest, here's an example. As I said, you've got to take 1 point from the resource and develop that point. Have a look down below. Okay, so this question actually is a 4 marker, but it's a 2 mark question twice. So we get to see 2 examples here. Study figure 3. Figure 3 is talking about Hurricane Matthew, its predicted path, its actual path. It gives you information about each country which it is likely to affect. And then it asks you, Haiti appears to be very vulnerable to the impacts of Hurricane Matthew. Using figure 3, suggest 2 reasons why. That's 4 marks. So if it was a 2 mark, it would be using figure 3, suggest 1 reason why. So let's do this. Have a look at that figure. I have to take 1 point from it and explain that, develop that. So if I look at them white boxes of each country's information, compare them to Haiti, I can see that Haiti has a lower GDP than the rest of the countries, and it has a lower HDI, Human Development Index. How can I use that as a point to say why it's more vulnerable? Well, I know Human Development Index looks at health, wealth, and education. So the health is already low. The health care is already poor in the country. So therefore, if a hurricane hits, it's going to be more vulnerable because the healthcare was already poor. So it's going to struggle to treat the injured and spread of diseases and things like this. So if I put, for example, let's have a look. Haiti has a HDI of 0.48. This means that the healthcare is already fairly poor. Therefore, people are going to be more vulnerable to the impacts of the hurricane. Done. Okay, I've used my key phrase. This means that. So HDI is 0.48. That's my point taken from the resource. This means that healthcare is already low, therefore people are more vulnerable to the impacts of Hurricane Matthew. Done. Quickly, next one then. I got to take something else from this resource they've given me. So I've already done that, something within them boxes. So let's look at maybe the path of the hurricane. So I can see that the actual path and the predicted path in dots. The predicted path on the Tuesday the 4th, you can see it's quite close to Port-au-Prince, the capital city. Why might this make it more vulnerable? Well, capital cities have a lot of people. It's densely populated. Exactly how far is the predicted path from the capital city? Well, there's a scale there. As I always say to my pupils, they give you all this information on the figure, on the resource for a reason. They give you, if they're giving you compass direction, use that. If they're giving you scale, use that. If they're giving you statistics, use them. They don't just put them there for no reason. They put them there for you to use. So I can say the predicted path is, if I use my scale, I can look, this is pretty much exactly 1 centimeter, which is 125 kilometers. So I can say the predicted path is 125 kilometers from the capital city. This means that it is more vulnerable because the capital city is densely populated. Something along them lines. Let's have a look. The predicted path of the hurricane is 125 kilometers from the capital city. This means that more people are likely to be affected as the capital city is densely populated. Perfect. Okay, so that's 4 marks altogether, but that's 2 markers. I hope that helps. Let's look at an explain question then. Explain is give your point and develop that point. So the first question we're going to look at, explain one cause of a tsunami. I know the cause of a tsunami is an earthquake under the ocean water. Yep. Then how do I develop that point? Because that's my point. That only gets me 1 mark. So earthquake under the ocean. This means that, or as a result, energy from the earthquake is transferred to the water, generating or creating a very large wave. That, I'm stating the obvious, but that's what you need to do when you develop these points. I can't just say, oh, it's got poor healthcare. This means that people are more vulnerable. Earthquake under the water. As a result, energy is transferred to the water, generating large waves. So something like this. A tsunami can be caused by an earthquake under the ocean water. As a result, the energy is transferred to the water, generating extremely large waves. 2 marks, done. Let's look at another example then. Explain one natural cause of climate change. Okay, all I need to do is make 1 point, one natural cause, and briefly explain it. I can think of two popular ones, so I'm going to put both in, but you only need to put one. Have a look. A change in the Earth's orbit, known as the Milankovitch cycle, can cause the climate to change as the amount of solar radiation the Earth receives will vary. Another one could be volcanic eruptions. They can change the climate due to a release of CO2, which leads to temperatures rising. So I've given two here. You don't need to do two, just do one. So for example, a change in the Earth's orbit, known as the Milankovitch cycle, that would get me 1 tick, 1 mark. That's my natural cause. How does it cause it? Well, it can cause a change in the climate as the amount of solar radiation may vary. So as the Earth is slightly changing its orbit, if it's further away, it's going to receive less radiation. If it's closer, it's going to receive more. This is going to change the climate. Another one could be volcanic eruptions. That's my point. Now develop it. How does that change the climate? Well, a release of CO2 can lead to temperatures rising, for example. So that is your 2 mark questions. Generally speaking, make your point, develop it. Sharpish people. Don't waffle on, don't go on and on. You've got to do this in 2 minutes because it's 2 marks and you have to master this. Yeah. If it's suggest, take 1 point out, develop it. If it's describe 2 things. If it's explain, make a point, develop that point. Good job, people. Let's go on to 3 marks.